Hello and welcome to the video. This is a video for those of you that have asked me to show how I set my radio up for the Goosky S1. Now the Goosky S1 is a fantastic little helicopter. I did a video a while ago, but I've been using it with my multi-protocol radio using the inbuilt Futaba receiver, and it has been flying great. That model also includes inputs for S-Bus and Spectrum receivers too, but there is specific setup that you need on the radio. Now there is a manual that's available via the Goosky website, but I don't think it's written particularly well. It took me a while and probably 3 or 4 readings, even knowing these radios very well as I do, to be able to figure out how it had to be set up, and you don't want to get it wrong. So to supplement that document, I thought I'd actually show you how I have my radio set up here. It isn't particularly tricky, and actually it's very, very similar to some of the other setup videos I've done for things like the OMP Hobby M2. So let me give you a very quick overview. If you're pretty familiar with how these radios and you've set up other helicopters on your multi-protocol radio, let me very quickly show you what the channel order is. Once I've done that, then I'll spend a lot more time and I'll go through each individual screen and show you what the settings look like. So the channel order on the radio needs to be aileron, elevator, throttle and rudder, and crucially the aileron and elevator need to be reversed for it to work with this particular helicopter. Mode 5 is then for the mode channel. That needs a high or low value. That will dictate whether or not it's in like full 3D or kind of attitude mode. And then channel 6 is going to be your pitch channel. And then what you're going to do is create a number of curves that will give you different throttles. So normally with something like normal mode, you are going to have a throttle that starts at -100 or 0% throttle, goes up and then levels off. And then in something like an idle up mode, you're pretty much going to have a straight line, and there are 2 straight lines here. Now, in addition to those, I would recommend that you set up a throttle hold switch. It's covered in the manual, but you definitely want a switch that's going to override the throttle channel value to be -100, so you can't accidentally start things. It also means that you can check things like the pitch movement on the blades without actually starting the helicopter. Always make sure that when you're playing with the heli on the bench that you have the blades removed. And then in the manual, it recommends having 3 different curves for normal, idle up 1 and idle up 2, as well as 3 different pitch curves. However, you don't need 3, you only need 2. But I would set them up as I have here, and then make the throttle channel on the switch that you're going to use to select the different modes, switch between the normal mode and idle up 1. But let me go onto the radio and show you each individual tab. So let's go through each of the tabs in turn. We'll press the model button and then we can go through everything. Obviously I've called it Goosky S1. I put a little JPEG in for the image, and I then have in the internal RF, I set it up as multi for Futaba, and then the protocol as FHSS. I've also set the failsafe mode to be custom, and that is going to make sure that the throttle goes to 0, and that is going to be safe. So that is all we've done really on that. In terms of the flight modes, we haven't done anything in there at all. Inputs are standard: aileron, elevator, throttle and rudder. That's all we have. Everything is set 100%. There's no expo being added at all. Next thing then is going to be the mixer. A little bit more in here. Again, as per the simple introduction, the aileron, elevator, throttle and rudder are in that order as per the inputs. However, the throttle has 3 different curves in it. That's going to give us the 3 different flight modes for the normal mode, idle up 1 and idle up 2 that I've set on a switch. In this case it's SE, so SE in the back position gives us normal mode, middle position gives us idle up 1, top position will give us idle up 2. So that's what that is doing. Channel 5 is set to the mode. That is set on another switch. That allows me then to change between the different flight modes that I'm interested in, kind of your normal stabilize and your 3D. Then channel 6 is set to be the pitch settings for the rotor blades, and that is either when the SE is in the back position or normal mode, it gives us 1 setting. Very quickly, it just gives us a custom curve, and that's just going to go from -6 up to 75, and then when it's not in the back position, which is what the exclamation SE means, then what it does, just see that, it goes from -100 to +100, or basically 100% of the pitch. In terms of the outputs, there's only two things that I've done in here. We need to reverse channel 1, and we also need to reverse channel 4 in order for the movement to be correct. And then the curves are where a lot of the work is done. I have 3 throttle curves, one of which is called T1, T2 and T3. T1 is the basic curve, so if we just edit this, it goes -100 and then 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. That's what it is. The other two aren't really curves, they're just straight lines. One set at 30% throttle, the next one, or 30 is the channel value actually, the next one set with each individual channel value of 46. And what that means is that if you look at the throttle, if I just enable it, as I move the throttle up in standard mode, you see it goes from -100, very quickly goes to 20, and then no matter what I do with the throttle, it doesn't change on channel 3. The things that changing is the pitch on channel 6. If I then go to 0 throttle, put it into idle up 1, it just stays at 30% for the throttle irrespective of that, but we have 100% pitch movement. Idle up 2 increases the head speed to 46, and then you get -100 to +100. So that is how that is working. Again, let's go into the curves, and in here we also have 2 additional curves. This one called P1, these are pitch curves, P1 and P2. I've only set up 2, we only need 2. The first one is this one here that goes from -6 to -2 to 0 to 38 to 76. In the manual from Goosky, it goes 50-100 for the last 2 pieces. For just learning to fly, you don't need that, but if you're regularly going to be going from regular normal mode to idle up mode, I would make those last 2 numbers 50 and 100. That's what that looks like. And then if we go back, we can see that P2 is just a straight line that goes -100 to +100 with equal increments. Next one is for global variables. We're not using those. Logical switches aren't being used. There is one thing set up on SF, and that is a switch to override channel 3, which is the throttle channel, to be -100. That is my throttle cut, and when that's active, that means that the throttle is going to be safe. That's really important to have on a helicopter. That's essentially the arming switch. So with all those things set up and the curve set up, what I've done, so those 3 throttle curves are going to be added to channel 3, which is the throttle, and they're going to be selected with each of these positions. So that's just my timer. I've set a timer up for this as well. And then you can see that those are set here. So that's how that works. And then again, the 2 pitch curves, one for normal mode, which is going to give us that -6 position. You can see it there on the top. As I increase the throttle, it's going to go up to 75. So we have a little bit of negative pitch, then we have neutral pitch in the middle stick position, and then we have a little bit of positive pitch. If I put it into anything that isn't SE in the back position, so if I move SE out of that, then we immediately get -100 to +100. And that is how everything's set up. The only other thing I have done, which we talked about, which is the timer here. If I go back to the model menu, I have set up timer 1 to be throttle start and set for 5 minutes, and that means that we don't run out of time when we're flying around. So there you have it. That's how to set it up. It isn't particularly tricky, and it's very similar to lots of other helicopters. I have been flying it like this, and it's working very well. But remember, again, if you don't have a multi-protocol radio, but you have something with the receiver that's going to be small enough to fit on that little helicopter that provides an S-bus output, then there is that S-bus socket. Similarly, there is also one for the Spectrum stuff. So if you have a Spectrum radio and you can kind of follow the channel order that we looked at the beginning of the video, then you should be great too. Thank you for watching the video. If you watch my videos and find them useful, then please take a moment to hit the like and subscribe button. It helps the channel a lot. If you really like what I'm doing here, you can become a Patreon and support the time I spend helping others and get access to lots of exclusive benefits. Link is in the video description. Remember that all the videos on the channel are organized into playlists, so you can easily use those playlists to find all the videos on a subject that you are interested in. Add Painless 360 to your searches on Google and YouTube, and it'll help you find my content for any particular topic. Thanks again for watching, and as always, happy flying.